mystery of the falling elevator is going to be explained today. Hello, can you guys hear me? Yes, no, maybe.
Sound very far away.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like fuzzy feedback too.
Okay, because I'm very far away. Okay, is it working now? There?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, that's much better.
Okay, cool. Awesome feedback. Give yourself 5 points for that one. All right, falling elevator. Remember the guy on the 10th floor, cable snapped neck? So the question is, how did he break his neck? All right, so still based upon a majority opinion. Cable snaps. His tongue is sticking out. Spit is going up. Goes up. Hits the ceiling. What goes up will come down. Either the first or the second impact is going to snap his neck, right? So what did we find out? Find out from our little experiment that the person remains on the floor at all times, and the safety system kicks in and then brings the elevator to a gentle stop. So the elevator comes to a stop, and when it comes to a stop, it's a gentle stop. All right, which means that you're not supposed to be breaking any bones. You don't go up, nothing happens to you, your center of mass, and the elevator will be falling at the same rate. All right, so under the circumstances, even the fact that the person didn't leave the floor, how is it possible for the person to actually break his neck? Why is it that a person did not even leave the floor? Because most of the guys thought that the person would go up. The reason why the person did not leave the floor is because in free fall, everything falls at the same rate. Free fall applies to cases where gravity is the only force acting. All right, and that's true when the effects of air friction is negligible. All right, so free fall, hammer and a feather, drop from the same height, will reach the ground at the same time.
One Apollo 15 astronaut.
So hammer and a feather, drop from the same height, will reach the ground at the same time.
Up here, and hopefully they'll hit the ground at the same time. How about that?
All right, so that's true only in the absence of air friction. So there's air friction acting on the elevator, except the elevator is real heavy. So what's the effect of air friction on something which is 500-600 pounds, almost 1,000 pounds? It's nothing, guys. It's a negligible distance. It's a short enough distance. The effects of air friction is negligible. The person inside is already shielded from the effect of air friction. So which means that the person inside experiences free fall. So a person inside and the elevator are falling at the same rate. There's a safety system that catches the elevator. Yet you have a person with a broken neck. So the question is, how's that even possible? Is this even a remotely realistic scenario?
Their elevator plunge.
The answer to that question is yes, of course.
40 stories for injuries. One woman broke her. Miraculously, the woman suffered only minor injuries. One woman broke her ankle, the other broke her leg. After traveling down 6 floors, the elevator suddenly broke loose and began its free fall descent. Authorities are investigating the cause of that accident.
So we have 2 people inside the elevator. Both of them got broken bones. Despite the safety system, yes, it is possible to break a bone. In our case, the person has a broken neck. These 2 end up breaking their legs. So how's that possible? Well, it depends on what you do inside that falling out. We can bunch of you guys inside an elevator, cut the cable, and soon enough you will find out that it's possible to break a bone. And because it's impossible, or it's illegal, more like it, to do that kind of experiment, let's reason. So you find yourself in a falling elevator, what would you do? What would you do if you were to find yourself in a falling elevator? If you're caught in the middle, you know that there's a handlebar nearby, right? Right, just walk. Just walk inside a falling elevator so that you can balance yourself. The question is, can you walk inside a falling elevator? And if you did, what do you think is going to happen? Next one. A lot of people have this common sense. Oh, I'm just going to jump before impact. Or shit. How do you know when the impact is going to happen? And how do you even jump? Can you jump inside a falling elevator? It's not even possible. And one of my absolute favorites comes from high school physics teachers. High school physics teachers. These are the guys who always say, lie down on the floor. Lie down on the floor. Why would you lie down? Well, why not just disperse the impact force? Can you lie down inside a falling elevator? What do you suppose would happen if you did? Why would you even want to lie down? The impact force is going to be small enough anyway, so who cares? All right, we'll investigate. These are the questions.
Most of us
One thing that's going to happen is that
have only experienced a
you and the elevator are going to fall at the same rate.
tiny slice of time
Your center mass and the elevator are falling at the same rate.
and space.
Guys, the distance between your center mass and the floor of the elevator is going to be fixed. That's what it means. Your center mass cannot fall any faster than the floor of the elevator. You will become suspended with respect to your center mass. You will become suspended relative to your center mass. Now what? Try to walk, check to see what happens. For you to be able to walk, what do you need? You need friction. All right, and for you to be able to generate friction, what needs to happen? You need to have a normal force, apparent weight. How much do you appear to weigh inside a falling elevator? We had a discussion about that. If you're standing on a scale, you look down. When the cable snaps, at the moment the cable snaps, what's the reading from the scale?
You're right.
It's going to be 0. What's the reading from a scale? It's going to be 0. According to the scale, you weigh absolutely nothing. Why not? Because you have the scale and the elevator, everything is falling at the same rate. You're standing on top of a scale. You are still standing. Don't get me wrong, except you're applying absolutely no pressure on the scale. And turn the scale absolutely applies no pressure back on you. Can you walk? Can you be able to walk? What do you need?
Friction.
You need friction. How much friction do you have? You appear to weigh nothing. No friction at all. No friction means you cannot walk inside a falling elevator. You can go through the motions, but what does it mean? All right, so here's what it means. So stop this. So what do you have? So you got this person inside a falling elevator. All right, guys. This screen is your elevator. All right. So the person is going to become suspended with respect to the center of mass right here. When this person tries to walk, if there's no friction, you will put one foot in front of another. So what happens to your body? It starts to sway back and forth, sway back and forth. If the safety system kicks in, when your body's out of alignment like that, what happens? You can get yourself hurt pretty badly. All right, so that's what the question is. That's one way you can get yourself hurt. All right, so you got the center of mass located right here. You become suspended. For you to be able to walk, you need friction. But because you have no apparent weight, you're not pressed up against the surface, which means that you cannot generate friction. So if you go through the motions, this is what your body does. Your body moves back and forth, back and forth. It's like a pendulum at that point. So walking is out of the question. You cannot walk. Your body's going to keep getting out of alignment. All right, so walking is not going to work. Okay, so the next one is, if walking does not work, how about jumping out from the floor? Well, you got
Elevators
Doesn't do any good to jump.
Why not?
One problem is knowing when is it you're about to hit.
Professor Corgill explained that even if you could jump at the exact moment of impact, it wouldn't slow you down enough to prevent injury.
So if jumping does
All right, it's got an interesting explanation. I got a better explanation. Can you jump?
Most of us,
Instead of
slice of time
falling
and
over.
space.
All right, what do you need to do in order to jump inside of falling elevator? You have to bang your knees, guys. All right, jumping means you have to bang your knees and then push against the surface. All right, so your center of mass is located right here. When you bang your knees, what are you doing? You're pulling your knees up. Now you lost complete contact with the ground. As soon as you bang your knees, you're pulling your knees up. You lost complete. You're not even next to the ground at that point. So jumping is out of the question. What you can do is, look, you're already on the surface. You're applying no force on the surface right at that point. This is the surface right there. You're not applying any force. You and the surface are falling at the same rate. What you can do is you can extend your feet and you can push against the ground at that point. I'm just going to go back. If you could just push against the ground, it's going to give you a small relative speed. So what happens is this thing is going to go up all the way to the ceiling, gently hit the ceiling, it's going to come back down, hit the ground, and then gently bounce from the ground. Literally, if it's a 500 feet drop, you may be able to go up and down once or twice. Do you want to do that? Okay, you don't want to do that. You don't want to be floating inside an elevator in a free fall, all right? Because at some point, the safety system is going to kick in unexpectedly, and your body's going to be out of position. Don't do that. All right, how about lying down on the floor? Okay, guys, what do you need in order to lie down on the floor? Okay, here's what you need to do. You want to lie down on the floor? All right, so you just lean back just like that, and then get your body on the ground. All right, at least that's the high school version of it. Here's what happens in real life. Your center of mass is fixed. Somehow, magically, if you can get your body parallel, this is what happens. You're going to be up here if you can get your body parallel to the ground. How do you do that? Well, I don't know. You cannot really get your body parallel to the ground without pushing up against something. One way to do it is I would lean back and pull my legs in. And then next thing you know, your body's going to start to spin in that location. Do you want to be spinning relative to your center of mass in a falling elevator? I don't think so, because your body could be upside down when the safety system kicks in. It's definitely going to break your neck. All right, so you don't want to do that either. Now, the problem is that you're finding yourself in a falling elevator, right? And the inside of the elevator is dark. You're feeling weightless. All right, you move around, your body's going to get out of alignment. You don't want to do that. All right, jumping is out of the question. If you could just push against the ground, you're just going to float to the ceiling and you will come back down. You don't want to do that. You lean backward, pull your legs in, and then it's probably going to give you some kind of a spin motion. And you don't want to be spinning inside the elevator. All right, so which means that you got problems. And if you get yourself injured, you will get yourself injured because of trying to move inside a falling elevator. So that's not going to help any. So
if jumping doesn't help,
Yes.
what should you do?
Flying down would be a better strategy. Then the forces which act on you at the end would be spread over your entire
true, in a free fall, you can't really lie down. So that's not an option. If you try to move inside an elevator, to get your body parallel to the ground. It will literally spin with respect to your center of mass. You don't want to be upside down in the safety system. So what's the best thing to do? The best thing to do is to do absolutely nothing. Nothing. If the elevator goes into a free fall, there's a safety system that's going to catch at some point. Do absolutely nothing. In the worst case scenario, you may end up wetting yourself, but that you can live with. Don't move around. As soon as you move around, your body's going to get out of alignment. All sorts of stuff that can happen. All right, so that's the best advice that I can give you. So speaking of the worst case scenario, this scenario was actually discussed on the show once or twice.
We've all seen worst case scenarios in the movies. Typically, our hero is caught in a cliffhanger, hanging by a thread. But then some movie magic saves the day, and he's back to safety. In real life, you can't rely on movie magic. And the only special effect you have is a flash of inspiration from your own brain. So you better be ready. High-rise buildings. We've all been in them. So imagine one day you walk into an elevator and the doors close. It starts to move, but then it stops. Okay, you think maybe it's just a fluke, or maybe it'll be stuck for just a moment. Then the elevator lurches, and in an instant, you and the 4,000-pound car are in a 60-mile-an-hour free fall. Hang on, we've got some tips to get you to the bottom in one piece. Each year in North America, elevators make about 90 billion trips up and down. Someday, you'll be riding in one, and someday that elevator will plummet towards the ground. Our expert, Sean Graham, will show you what to do.
One day you're going to walk into a high-rise building. You're going to head to the top floor to take care of some business. Now, when you're finished, you're going to cruise back down to what you would expect to be a real smooth ride. Instead, you'll find yourself in a worst-case scenario. Whether it's a power failure or a catastrophic event, you'll be stuck in a high-speed elevator. The impact at the bottom when you finally stop is going to be so great that it could knock you off your feet. How do you survive this worst-case scenario? Well, first thing you need to do is assess the area. If there's a handrail, let's use it. I want you to stay away from glass. Unfortunately, we don't have that luxury in this elevator. It's right here. Grab the railing as tight as you can with your arm. Get your back against the wall, support the lumbar region, and keep your knees bent. That is crucial. What that's going to do is it's going to help absorb a whole lot of the shock. Be patient and stay there no matter what happens, because you have no idea when the impact's going to come.
Sean will now free fall 37 stories or 370 feet in a plummeting elevator. He'll need to remember to hold a handrail, bend his knees, and brace for impact.
Let's do this.
The first drop will take your breath away. Your stomach will jump into your throat. You can't get to the stop button or the phone because you're falling at 60 miles an hour and can't move. There's no return. You now must grab the handrail, bend your knees, and brace for impact.
All right, once the elevator comes to a halt, you want to check the damages. Make sure you're in one piece. If you're okay, go ahead and find the alarm button. If there's a phone or there's an intercom, use that as well. Don't panic, okay? Don't try to force open the doors. Don't try to force open the hatch. Stay patient, stay calm, wait for help to come to you.
When you find yourself in a plunging elevator, grab the handrails and keep your knees bent. Then, after the impact, check for injuries and wait for help.
Follow these simple steps, and you too can survive this worst-case scenario.
Some people believe that elevators fall because of overcrowding. That's not true. An overloaded elevator will usually not move. The doors will stay open, and a buzzer will ring until enough people get off. No place is more exotic than
this worst-case scenario. Well, first thing you need to do is assess the area. If there's a region, I want you to stay away from glass. Unfortunately, we don't have that luxury in this elevator. It's right here. Grab the railing as tight as you can with your arm. Get your back against the wall, support the lumbar region, and keep your knees bent.
When do you do that, though, guys? When do you do that? The worst case scenario. How do you survive an elevator fall? When do you do that? You have to assume this position when. You have to assume that position when you walk into the elevator.
That is crucial. What that's going to do is it's going to help absorb a whole lot.
Which means,
shock. There's a handrail. Let's use it.
As soon as you walk into the elevator,
stay away from
you need to go to the corner and crouch down. All right? You have to assume this position as soon as you walk in. Now, when you walk into an elevator, if you see someone do this at the corner, what do you think you're going to do? You would turn around and leave, right? This is not even the best case. This is not even the best thing that you could do if you're going to assume the worst case scenario. Hey, just lie down. Don't even take a chance with your life. Guys, stand in front of the door. As soon as the door opens up, just get down, roll down into the elevator and spread ego. That's the best thing that you could do. And then look up and say, hey, first floor. Make sure that somebody pushes it for you. Don't move until the elevator gets to the first floor. That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario. That's the best answer for the worst case scenario. All right, so if you're caught in the middle, none of that stuff is going to work. You cannot bang your knees. You cannot walk. It's out of the question. On top of that, he ended up doing some. Number one, it's not a free fall, obviously. All right. He set it up so that it looks like free fall. This guy got some really good advice. All right, what is the best advice that you got? A couple of things that I really like.
Check for injuries.
Okay, no, when he's going down, you look at what he does. He does something which is really extremely realistic. This is the sort of stuff that I see in the movies, and when they get it right, I go, shit, this is awesome. When they get it wrong, I go, okay, these guys are complete clueless. Look at the knees. Knees are shaking. Okay, they created a really good illusion of free fall. Why are the knees shaking? Because number one, he's in a free fall. Notice that he's holding onto the bar. He's pulling bar in the opposite direction. He's trying to create as much pressure under his feet as possible. And then obviously he's using his muscles, so that pressure keeps changing. So which means that he's trying to adjust his legs. Okay, so this is what would happen. The other thing that I really like is, regardless of what happens, guys, because you're feeling weightless, and in this case, he's trying to generate force in the downward direction. He's trying to generate some kind of pressure in the downward direction. When the safety system kicks in, when it kicks in, you will literally go from feeling weightless from 0G to maybe about 2-3 Gs. It happens real fast. It happens so fast that you more than likely you won't be able to adjust for it. And notice that the knees are bent and body's not going to be able to compensate for it. It will still fall. This is really well done. Okay, this guy got really good advice. Whoever the physicist was, and this is physics advice, this is really well thought of. What I'm getting at, regardless of what you do, if you're caught inside a falling elevator, if it goes in a free fall, and that's not realistic. Safety systems will kick in. There's going to be a tremendous amount of friction. There's not going to be true free fall. But if it's like in the movies, or is truly a worst case scenario, you go from free fall to the safety system, you go from 0G to 3Gs, you will lose balance, guys. You will lose balance. More than likely, you're going to can break a bone. I don't want to say more than likely, but you can break the bone. It's possible.